Well, hello to you. It's Scott Picken, CEO and founder of WealthE Migrate, and I want to bring you this weekly wealth insight. You can see here that I'm at the most beautiful 12 Apostles. You can see all the mountains here in Cape Town. Most spectacular view. I decided to drive the long way and to come and enjoy this magnificent scenery today. It's such a beautiful day. So this weekly wealth insight is about rest. And it's something I'm not good at. Roger Hamilton and Tony Robbins talk a lot about the three types of people in life. You've got the dabbler, the stresser, and the master. And the dabbler is someone who tries to do something and they hit the ceiling of complexity, and quite quickly they give up and they go try something else, and they never achieve anything in life because they're always jumping from one thing to the next. The second type of person is a stresser, and they go out and they work hard and they get to ceiling complexity and they just break through. But then they eventually hit another ceiling complexity and they stress again. And the third way is the way of the master. And the master, has the foresight and the insight to understand that they're going to have challenges. They plan for it. And then they generally go out and find someone who's already done it before. And that's why life is a lot easier from a master. And why I tell you the story is that, I grew up as a stresser. My strategy in life was always to work harder than anyone else. Whether it was on the rugby pitch, I wasn't the most talented, but I was always the fittest. I always worked harder at school. I always worked harder at university. And it's always been my success strategy, is just to work harder than anyone else. And the problem with that is that I'm an A-type personality. I've got a huge lot of energy, but you get tired. And it was only when I met Roger Hamilton that I started to learn around rhythms and seasons, and how it's so important that you take time off to rest and allow yourself time to recuperate and allow your team to recuperate. I met another guy called Keith. What's Keith's surname? Anyway, he's an amazing guy in America, one of Tony Robbins' business partners. And he said that, balance is complete rubbish. There's no such thing as balance for entrepreneurs. But what you can do is work in seasons and cycles. And so, basically he used to work 2 months on, 1 month off, 2 months on, 1 month off. There's no such thing as working 9 to 5 and Monday to Friday when you're an entrepreneur. It's because it's just full on. You're working in projects and you do whatever it takes to succeed. But then you do take that time off and work in cycles. And ever since I learned that from him, I tried to put systems in place where I work really hard and then I take a break in April, and then I work really hard again and I take a break in August, and then I work really hard again and I take a proper holiday at Christmas time. And it's all about the rhythms and the cycles. So, again, balance is complete rubbish. 9 to 5 is complete rubbish. Not working weekends is complete rubbish. But what is important is that you do take that time out and, book the big rocks, have time to rest and recuperate, have time with your family and your friends. And it's interesting because, I'm giving you this wealth insight, and, at the moment it's probably still more theoretical for me than practical because I've still got a lot to learn in terms of taking that time out. But it's also about really having downtime and switching off and not allowing the world. There's always something you can do. I remember when I first became an entrepreneur, when you're an employee, it's fine. You go and leave and that's it. No one gets hold of you. When you're an entrepreneur, there's always something that you can be doing. There's always something you can be working on. There's always a customer or client that wants to speak to you. And you've got to get really disciplined at saying, no, this is my off time. And, it's something I learned the hard way over time, and I'm still probably got a long way to go in terms of learning that lesson. But this weekly wealth insight was around resting and the importance of rest and recharging. If you look at a racehorse, it hits peak performance, but it also has time to rest. If you look at any peak athlete, they know how to peak, but they also know how to rest and recuperate so that they can consistently hit peak performance. And that's why, balance is rubbish, because if there's no such thing as balance, it's about cycles going up and down and being able to hit peak performance and then being able to relax. And so this is Scott coming from the Atlantic seaboard here in Cape Town. One of the most beautiful places in the world. I absolutely love coming here. And this weekly wealth insight is about resting and about the cycles and understanding the cycles. And I really think there's 2 lessons to learn from this wealth insight. The first one is that as many people go into the festive season now, really take the time to rest and recover and set yourself up for success going into 2020. And the second one is that, from all the best that I've learned in the world, it's all about the big rocks. Plan your 2020, plan your whole next decade, and put in when you're going to take time to rest, when you're going to see your family and your friends, when you're going to do cool things, so that they take priority, and then you plan the rest of your life around that. And as an example, next year we're planning on going paddling around Mauritius, I want to go skiing with some friends in Europe. This year I went to the Rugby World Cup. These are things that I call the big rocks. And then every year, my son's birthdays are non-negotiable. The Christmas period now, where you're spending time with your family and friends, is non-negotiable. And they're what I call the big rocks. So make sure that you're planning your year, putting your big rocks first, and then planning the rest of your life around it. And that's how I believe you get balance, or the rhythm, as Keith said. And I wish I could remember Keith Cunningham. I got it just in time. His name is Keith Cunningham. Go and look him up. Amazing guy. He's got a whole online MBA course with Tony Robbins. And that's Scott Picken signing out from this incredible Cape Town. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. We want to empower 1 billion people. We can't do it on our own. And I really hope that you will make a difference as we go into the next decade of being part of the solution and empowering people with the self-belief and the knowledge so that they too can go and create a magnificent life for themselves. Cheers. Till next time.